Imagine you're breathing normally, scrolling on your phone, and everything feels completely fine. Then, without warning, the oxygen around you disappears. Not forever, not even for a minute. Just 5 seconds. You might think nothing serious would happen. After all, people hold their breath longer than that. But here's the terrifying truth: if Earth lost oxygen for just 5 seconds, life would begin collapsing instantly. Not slowly. Not later. Right now. Today, we're breaking down exactly what happens to your body, to the planet, and to human civilization in those 5 seconds. Stay until the end, because the final effect is something most people never imagine. This isn't science fiction. This is how fragile life on Earth really is. The moment oxygen vanishes, your lungs still try to inhale, but there's nothing useful entering your body. Your brain is the first organ to react, because it depends on oxygen every second to function. Electrical signals between neurons begin to misfire, and your thoughts lose clarity almost instantly. Simple decisions become impossible, and confusion spreads faster than fear. People trying to speak suddenly forget their words, and movements become uncoordinated. Someone walking stumbles without knowing why, while another drops whatever they were holding. Your vision narrows, colors fade, and the world feels distant and unreal. Your body hasn't lost consciousness yet, but control is already slipping away. Across cities, traffic lights are still on, but drivers can't react in time. Cars drift into intersections, buses veer off lanes, and planes flying overhead face sudden chaos. Pilots struggle to focus, alarms go unnoticed, and reaction time disappears. In moments, normal life begins breaking down everywhere at once. At the same time, the atmosphere itself changes violently. Oxygen makes up a large portion of the air we rely on for pressure and balance. When it disappears, the surrounding air thins instantly, creating a massive pressure drop. That sudden change sends shockwaves racing across the planet. Ears pop with painful force, and some people experience instant hearing damage. Glass windows shatter outward, storefronts explode into fragments, and weak buildings crack. Anything already unstable collapses without warning, and debris fills the air. The sound of breaking structures echoes across cities and towns. Every flame on Earth goes out at the same moment. Candles, campfires, industrial furnaces, and gas stoves all die instantly. Jet engines lose combustion. Power stations shut down, and generators fall silent. The systems keeping modern civilization alive stop working at once. Elevators freeze between floors. Trains lose power on tracks, and factories grind to a halt. Hospitals switch to emergency systems that only function for seconds. Servers go dark. Communication networks collapse, and digital life disappears. Instantly, the world becomes quiet in the most unnatural way imaginable. Inside the human body, oxygen-starved blood struggles to fuel muscles. The heart beats harder, but achieves less with every contraction. Muscles weaken rapidly, turning simple movements into impossible tasks. The body enters a desperate survival state with no solution. People collapse mid-step, mid-sentence, and mid-action. Surgeons freeze during operations, unable to continue even the smallest movement. Athletes fall where they stand, not injured, but powerless. Consciousness hangs on by a thread as the body fails from within. Above the surface of the Earth, protection disappears. Oxygen is critical to maintaining the ozone layer that shields life from solar radiation. Without it, that invisible barrier vanishes instantly. Raw radiation from the sun slams into the planet without resistance. Skin begins to burn within moments, even without visible flames. Eyes suffer damage from intense ultraviolet exposure. Anyone outdoors feels sudden pain, heat, and disorientation. Life on the surface becomes exposed and vulnerable like never before. Water, the foundation of all known life, begins to destabilize. Oxygen is a key part of every water molecule, and its absence breaks molecular bonds. Ocean surfaces churn violently as water starts breaking apart and evaporating. Massive volumes of hydrogen gas rush into the atmosphere. Marine life, near the surface, dies almost instantly. Fish, plankton, and coral ecosystems collapse without warning. Waves behave unpredictably as pressure and chemistry change. The oceans, once stable and life-giving, become hostile and chaotic. Deep beneath our feet, the planet itself begins to weaken. Most rocks and minerals depend on oxygen-based compounds for stability. As those bonds fail, the Earth's crust loses strength. The ground beneath cities becomes unstable and unreliable. Concrete structures begin to crack from the inside. Bridges weaken as support materials fail. Skyscrapers develop fractures that spread in seconds. Entire urban areas start to crumble under their own weight. The human brain reaches its limit. Without oxygen, brain cells begin dying permanently. Memory, movement, speech, and awareness start shutting down. Even if oxygen returned instantly, the damage would already be done. Some people would never regain consciousness. Others would survive but lose critical brain functions forever. Millions would be left unable to speak, remember, or move. Life, as they knew it, would be gone in an instant. Plants die immediately as photosynthesis stops completely. Forests, grasslands, and crops collapse all at once. Animals across the planet fall where they stand. Entire ecosystems fail together without time to adapt. Although oxygen was missing for only seconds, the consequences remain. The ozone layer would take years to rebuild, if it could at all. Climate systems fall into chaos, triggering extreme global changes. Mass extinctions begin reshaping life on Earth. Food chains break apart from the bottom up. Agriculture becomes impossible in many regions. Human society struggles to recover from irreversible loss. Civilization faces a future it was never prepared for. Hospitals overflow with patients suffering brain damage. Power grids remain destroyed, and communication systems stay silent. Global coordination collapses, and survival becomes local and desperate, not because of war, not because of disease, but because of oxygen. We often imagine the end of the world arriving with explosions or monsters, but the real threat is invisible and silent. A guess we never think about, supporting every second of our lives. A balance so delicate that even seconds matter. Life on Earth isn't protected by strength, wealth, or intelligence. It survives because everything is perfectly tuned to work together. And if that balance shifts, even briefly, everything begins to fall apart. The next time you take a breath, remember how close life always is to the edge.